Hi, Stephanie here, and I wanted to talk about the new tax law and basically the effects um, and just what companies are doing now since the tax law has been passed, and just talk about. I've been having discussions with people who are, on the left side of the aisle, and my husband is running a chainsaw in the garage, so it's distracting. Sorry. um, what was I saying? Um, no, just how basically I've had discussions with people on the Democrat side of the aisle who think that $1,000 is not much for a bonus, and when they complain about, well, they should just do wage increases instead of bonuses, but then a lot of companies have been increasing their wages, and then when you bring that up, they say, well, that's still not enough, and so it just seems like it's never enough. But the thing is, wages were stagnant under President Obama, for 8 years, and ever since this law was passed, this tax law, wages have increased and bonuses have been given by a lot of different companies, and so it's you know I don't know that they thought things were really good under Obama apparently, but then with wage increases and bonuses, and even some companies are doing retirement or adding to their retirement funds, whatever, for their employees. So it's just this. It's just I just find it interesting that they're complaining about the effects of the tax law. That it just seems like it's never good enough. But the point I want to make is that people have been complaining about CEOs still making millions of dollars and how they should just be giving more wage increases or, giving better benefits, whatever, to their employees. And so I wanted to just share some math and share some numbers with you. And I got these numbers from the Business Insider, the website. It was an article on Business Insider. And the numbers are from 2010, but it was just a really good article to get some numbers from. So the numbers might be a little different now compared to 2010, but the point is still the same. So basically, in 2010, the average Walmart associate makes $11.75 an hour, or made $11.75 an hour. That was just over $20,000 a year. And I understand the average. I mean, obviously, there's people that make less than that. There's people that make more than that in the company. But just to have a point of reference, about $20,000 a year. Then, and back then, the minimum wage was $7.25 an hour. Now, in a two-person household, if two people were making that, that would be about $40,000 a year, which that's actually pretty decent for, my husband and I have made less than that and been okay. It'd be great if we made more, but for now, at the time, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so, we have one income right now. My husband started his own business, and, we're just getting started, so we'll see how much we make this coming year. But anyways, the issue is more for if you have one person working in a household, in a family. So how many employees does Walmart have? Well, in 2010, they had 1.4 million people, employees in the U.S., and then 2.1 million employees worldwide. And then at that point in 2010, or rather probably in 2009, they made $15 billion in annual profits. So even if you took all of their profits, $15 billion, and if the company broke even, if you took all their profits and dispersed it among all their employees, that would be $30,000 a year for the average income, which that is actually quite an increase. But $30,000 a year, I know people would still complain and say, well, that's still not very much. But that's saying if you take all of the profit, leaving them with no profit. So just to make the point, they have a lot of employees, so if you disperse all that money, it still wouldn't be enough for some people. I mean, that would be the claim. That's still not enough. If they took half their profit, they would be about $25,000, the average of $25,000 a year. and to give an example of, I hear CEOs are still making millions, and why don't they, how come they're making millions and these people are still making only this much? Well, if you took, and I don't know if Mike Duke is still the CEO of Walmart. I didn't research it all, but in 2010 he was, and in 2009 he made $6 million. Okay, so let's just say you took his $6 million and divided it by 2.1 million employees. That would be $2.86 to each employee. Okay, so even if you took all his money away, you're still not going to get a lot based on all the employees they have. They have a lot of employees. They have 5,000 stores, I believe it's nationwide. So, people don't look at the numbers. Why, even if you took all these CEOs, money, it still wouldn't make it very far if you spread it out among all the employees. So it's really, to me, it's about class warfare, class envy. This person has much more. Everybody should just make the same amount. But a lot of these people that are heads of companies started out with little, weren't necessarily given an advantage. I think Jimmy John's, the owner of Jimmy John's started out in his garage, apparently. A lot of these people didn't start out with anything special. So if you want to become a millionaire, just do what they did. Kind of teasing about that, but really, a lot of those people didn't start out with millions and, didn't have an advantage over anybody else. Now, if you force companies to raise wages, if you forced them to before taxes were lowered, so if they have high taxes plus you're forcing them to raise wages, then they're going to have... Hey, Gabe.
Hey, Mama.
Yes, honey.
Can you give me a bowl to study?
In a little bit. Yeah, just give me a few minutes, okay? Okay, thank you. So, just a few interruptions. So I was saying, if taxes were still what they were before, and you raised, if you force these companies to raise wages, they're gonna just pass on those costs through either cutting back on their employees. I mean, they're gonna,
Can you help me?
Oh, sure. If you cut back, excuse me, I'm just a little distracted. I've had to start this over several times, so I'm just going to go with it. So these companies are going to pass that on down to the consumer through raising prices of. Okay, thank you. Through raising the cost of their products or their services. Sure. Okay. I'll be right there, honey. Okay, I promise. So I'm not starting over. I've started over like 4 times. So anyways, that's going to get passed on down to the consumers anyways through, products going up, the cost of products and the cost of services going up. That's what Obamacare did. A lot of these companies, a lot of these businesses ended up having to raise the prices of their services. And even in their explanations of why they were raising their prices, they actually explained the new healthcare law is what caused us to have to raise these prices. So anyways, the thing is, if you let me look at, I just wrote a lot of stuff down here. In 2009, Walmart paid $7 billion in taxes. What's up, buddy? You want to sit by me?
Can you give me a snack?
Sure, in just a minute, honey. I'm almost done. In 2009, Walmart paid $7 billion in taxes, and they made $22 billion in profit. So $15 billion after taxes was their total profit. So if you took $15 billion, which is their entire profit, and then they paid all that to their employees, they would break even and they wouldn't pay any taxes. So that $7 billion in taxes that went to the government would not go to the government if they took all their income, took all their profit, and paid their employees with it. So that's just an interesting point. And the last point I'll just make is about CEOs. So why is it that larger corporations versus small businesses, maybe like a mom and pop shop or, a business that's not a chain, why is it that, CEOs make millions Well, if you have 5,000 stores nationwide, like Walmart does, that's a lot of stores to draw from for income. So, just a minute, honey. And so, you know, if you have one store and you're paying your employees a certain amount, and really, if you try to take profit from one store versus 5,000 stores, you're going to have a lot left over for the CEOs at the top if you have 5,000 stores that you oversee. So, you know, it just makes sense to me. Of course they're going to make more. But again, even though they're making millions, if you take the millions that they have and try to divide it amongst all their employees, it's not going to make like a massive, huge difference. You know, the sense I get, the feeling I get when I talk with a lot of people on the left is they don't want anybody making millions of dollars. You know, it's just not fair, they say. So my point is, even if you think people should get $50,000 a year for working at Walmart, which frankly, there's a lot of other people that are working skilled labor, and they're nurses and all sorts of, you know, technical, you know, you have to go to school to get some skills. They get paid more than someone at Walmart. But if you raise, you know, the employees' wages to a certain amount, even if you could, well, then they'd be getting paid more than nurses and people that needed an education to work where they're working. So anyways, you know, I feel like it's a false narrative. It's just really based on envy, this whole, well, it's not fair that these, you know, CEOs are making millions. Well, if you do the math, it doesn't matter if you took all their income, it still wouldn't, you know, have huge profits for the employees. It just doesn't work. The math does not work. So that's what I want to do the video about, to make the point that you're really being driven by emotions if you think that lowering taxes doesn't work, and if you if you think that, you know, they're making too much money, they still wouldn't be able to pay their employees as much as you think, even if they took all their profits. So that's my point. That's all I wanted to say. And now I really should go because my son is trying to get me off here. So hopefully that helped, you know, put things in perspective.
I'm not trying to get you off of there.
Okay. All right. Can you say bye, Gabe?
Yeah, bye, Beth.
Okay. See you next time.